Leigh Brown. This is Crazy Shit in Real Estate. And today we're back in our investor space. If you are somebody who owns single family rentals, maybe you've got a couple rental houses out there and you're trying to figure out how you can get to retirement sooner, we've got Jennings Smith, and he's going to talk to you about those next steps with his own personal stories. Really interesting guy, to the point. I think you'll enjoy the conversation. I'll see you on the other side.
Hey, Leigh, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm well. I'm doing well.
What are we unlocking? I can't read all of your neon behind you.
It says unlock your life. Yeah, that's my podcast.
Got to move your camera angle or something so people can see it.
I know. I was thinking about if I should scoot over to the side. I'm going to redo the office where I think I'm further away from it.
Yeah, that would help probably because then the neon won't blur.
So my podcast up to this point, I haven't really done video with it. I've only done audio.
Oh, you have to add video because I'm in year 7 of my podcast now. And when I started at first 3 years, we're audio only. And then I realized by following some other very successful podcasters like Dan Bongino, when he added video to his, the views went way up because so many people prefer to consume on video. But the interesting part is my most loyal subscribers are on the podcast listening only side, but the video side feeds a different crowd. So it just expands your base.
And your video side is just YouTube, I assume?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've also got it on Rumble because Rumble doesn't censor.
Rumble, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're posting our podcast on the YouTube channel, but audio only. But I'm about to start doing the video. I'm hiring a videographer next week, so I've got like 40 something episodes right now. Been doing it about a year, but yeah.
Free, right? It's how we all consume information now. It's how we learn. It's how you build a piece of IKEA furniture. You build it by YouTube, which you're always visual and orally absorbing it for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort and money into the shorts, like the 30-second to minute videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube shorts, all that stuff. But
yeah, I still don't trust TikTok. I'm trying to get behind it, but it's hard.
TikTok's pretty cool. I like it. I didn't like it at first, but have you ever been on it?
I mean, I have a channel that I put some old stuff on it, but in general, I don't like the fact that the algorithms are controlled by a foreign adversary.
True. They know what they're doing though. I mean, as far as it's effective.
But they feed us what they want us to see, that their people and that foreign adversary do not see the same content that we see. Right.
Yeah.
A pretty fascinating rabbit hole to go down, but I understand you kind of got to be where the people are, but I don't put my best there. I'm a hard head like that.
Now I've listened to a couple episodes and I've read about you. You are a realtor and your main audience is other residential realtors. Is that right?
That's actually incorrect. My audience is a very broad range. So I have residential realtors because I am one. I have brokers because I am one. I have loan officers because I speak to loan officers a lot. I have investors because I'm an investor. But I also have over half of my audience is actually the consumer public. So it's people who are interested in real estate. So my caution to you on that is don't talk in jargon. And always make sure that the information you're sharing is accessible to a wide array of people, because it's a lot of people are interested in the backside of real estate that nobody else talks about. And it's a very hodgepodge channel. So when you're listening to episodes, you might hear from the head of the VA and you might hear from an agent who stumbled in on a naked person in the house. You just never know what you're going to get.
So would you rather me gear more towards the beginner starter or go more towards like advanced syndication, larger deals?
I have had so many guests on to talk about syndication. My audience is burned out on it. And so they're actually more interested in stories than in information. And so what they're looking for is the crazy shit in real estate. That's the reason for the title of the show. They want to know what you've seen in your professional space that's interesting to them that they would never have seen before and that they'd be surprised by. And that can be a happy surprise, a financial surprise, a visual
I've got a couple that I think that they'll like that most people.
And in the multifamily world, we have a lot of stories.
Yeah, this is something that I think most people think multifamily is way out of their reach and they can't close it. They never try. And so I want to talk about that and some stories of like my first deals.
That's way more fun than talking about giant syndications where you have to have a high level of trust and you might not get your money back. But so Jennings Smith, let's start off by telling them who you are, where you're located, how you got into multifamily, what do you do in and around the real estate space? Give us a little background.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. But yeah, Jennings Smith. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and I was a contractor since I was 19 years old. I got my builder's license and did that for 16 years and got pretty fed up with being a contractor, wanted to make a shift. And I saw that rental real estate was the way to go. So I wrote down, I want to have 1,000 rental houses. And as I started on that path, I realized, wow, this is going to take me forever. This is not a feasible goal. And so my banker said, if you really want to scale, you've got to get into commercial real estate. You've got to move into multifamily. So I started with a few trailers. I bought some double wide, moved somebody in. They immediately stopped paying me. Their dogs destroyed it. And I almost quit right then. But kept going with that. And after a couple of years, had 3 trailers and 2 rental homes. And that's when I decided I need to go bigger if I'm ever going to get out of being a contractor. Because I looked at my net worth, and I mean, 70% of it was from just a couple of rentals I had and trailers. So you can tell my net worth wasn't that big. But I thought, why don't I just focus 100% on real estate? This is what's making me more money than a contractor. Like, I got to make a living, but eventually I don't love this anymore. I want to do something different. And so I started studying multifamily. I bought an online course and studied it for like 2 years because I was scared. But yeah, eventually got my first deal going. And now we have 1,000 apartment units, 500 self-storage units. We do multifamily full time. And that's the career. So that was only 3.5 years ago, though, that we got into the first multifamily deal.
All right. So that's a crazy growth curve there. I mean, that's a lot of assets you've got under management, but can we just acknowledge out loud that trailer houses are the original affordable housing? And there's nothing wrong with trailer houses. And since I'm North Carolina, you're South Carolina, we see it all the time. I find it to be fascinating how many people in and around real estate just look down on trailers, when in reality, if you're managed correctly, when you know what you're doing, and no offense, but you didn't know what you were doing at the beginning, didn't have a property manager, but they can offer ATM. I mean, they're wonderful opportunities. They're just a specialty product. But let's come back into that first building you bought. So how did you figure out the financing piece, and how did you figure out what to do first? Because for the rest of y'all that have never done multifamily, you should know it's a little different than your single family real estate, which we price that by comps. We know what other houses have sold for. Multifamily prices based on income. And so it's the dollars coming through the rents that are going to determine the value more so than, well, I have an 8-plex here. Where's another 8-plex? It doesn't really work that way. So talk to us a little bit about that first building and what got you over that hump after you watched that course and sat on it for 2 years.
And I wouldn't say I sat, I just I tried. Like, I put together pitch decks. I started to talk to investors. I think it's important to try and pre-raise your money before you go out there, because it gives you confidence to actually make offers. When hey, if I find something, there'll be a couple people that'll believe in my deal and possibly give me some capital. And so I was working behind the scenes. I was looking on Crexy and the MLS, those online websites to find stuff. And this was in 2018, like late 2018. And I finally stumbled across something in North Carolina in a town called Williamston, which is a town about 5,000 people. And it was a 12 unit for like $275,000 that they wanted. What? So I'm like, okay, there's got to be something, wrong. Now, granted, this was three and a half years ago, but still, yeah. So I got the financials from the broker, and it was on market. I got the financials and looked at the P&L, and it was losing money, right? So the water bill was super high, trash. The manager was very, very expensive. It looked like they were paying 27% all in management fees when you added it all up together. 27, yeah. Yeah.
I'm a bargain. I am a total bargain.
I know. Well, anybody is against that rate, but yeah. So I drove up there, and I'm thinking, man, this place is probably trashed. And it was nice. It was older community living in there, all 1 bedrooms. And it was really decent, because I had walked one in Greensboro that was a 40 unit. And I mean, it was rough. Like I was overwhelmed when I walked through it, and I walked away from that deal. And that was 800,000 for 40 units. But I mean, it was needed a total renovation. So I look at it and I'm thinking, okay, I could make this deal work. This is within realm of what I believed in myself at the time. And I asked the owner, I said, listen, your property is losing money. I'm not going to be able to get a loan. This was my angle. Not that I can't get a loan, because I probably couldn't have gotten the loan, honestly.
It's not me. It's you.
It's not me. It's you. It's your crappy property and your manager that's ripping you off. But he was an older guy. He had a bunch of property, and this one he didn't really care about. He wasn't paying attention to anymore. And his big management company was looking over it, and they were far away, and nobody just was caring about this property. And I said, "Will you seller finance me? Because I've got, a couple rental homes. I'll do a great job. I'll turn this thing around." And he said, "All right, if you put down 30%, then I don't see the harm in it, right? Because now he's going to get 75 grand. Oh, and I negotiated him down to 250. So he's going to get 75 grand, and if I default, he'll still have his property. So I still needed 75 grand plus 20,000 in carrying costs and closing costs and whatever. So I put together my little pitch deck and go to investors, and I finally get somebody to agree. And what we agreed on was I'm going to pay them, I think, 9% preferred return. So they get the first 9% of the deal, plus they get 40% equity, and I get 60%.
Oh.
Okay, so the investor had the same reaction that you did right there. Yeah, so why do you get 60% and I get 40%? I'm bringing all the money. And I pushed back a little, and I said, you know what? Because money's easy to find and deals aren't. This is a great deal, and if you don't want to do it, I'm going to find somebody that will. He's like, well, okay, this is fair. And so he did it. And so he gave me the money. We formed a little, JV LLC. It was nothing fancy. I think I even just used the operating agreement from the course. I didn't even hire an attorney. But so we hired the attorney.
Always hire an attorney. Get viewers. Always hire an attorney. Just going to toss that in there.
Yes, exactly. So, I've learned. I've come a long way since then. But it was just a simple JV, and so we closed the deal and we bought it. And I put a little bit of money into it. I cleaned it up. I hired a new manager, and I uncovered some value add stuff. So they were paying taxes to pay for trash, and they had a dumpster. So I got rid of the dumpster and got trash cans, and boom, saved money right there. They were paying $75 a month per unit in water for like these little one, but the town had an expensive like reverse osmosis system that they had to pay. They had saddled themselves with a bunch of debt. Yeah. Weird thing about Williamston, North Carolina, like their water is very expensive there.
Good to know. And County did not know.
Yeah. And just by chance, the last minute, I uncovered that the city taxes you and the county taxes you. So I was able to retrade a little bit off of that just by uncovering it. That information wasn't readily produced. So anyhow, I got the deal. I got it going. I got a new manager in there. She had managed it for like 8% or 10%. I don't remember. But she did a great job. We instituted like a water bill back. So we basically raised the rent $75 and we cut expenses. That's all I did. And I got an offer a year later for $410,000 for the property. And I was like, done, because I'm just getting started. And I made we made like, what is that? $150,000. So I made 60% of that, and the investor made 40% of that, because we were paying the preferred return out of the cash flow. It cash flowed about, $1,200 a month.
But just for managing the expenses. I mean, what an interesting and boring way to make money. But how many people forget that very basic piece because they're only focused on the purchase price? It's fascinating.
Exactly. And so when we broke it down, the investor made like, he got his money back within 18 months, and it was like a 52% IRR. It was a crazy return for him. And obviously my return was good too. But that was my first deal. And so most people, they look at or these bigger deals, not that 12 units is huge, but they look at a deal like that and they think, well, I can't get the loan. and I don't have the $100,000 down payment or the $1 million down payment or whatever it is. And so their brain just shuts off. They don't even try to solve that problem. And once I closed that 12 unit, I was like, I can do anything. And that's how I progressed. I closed a 19 unit, a 60 unit, an 80 unit, a 200 unit, because it's the same principles. And we didn't always owner finance, but there are people out there that will co-sign your loan, that will help you get that loan. If you have a good deal, they'll be like, hey, I'm on board. Just give me some equity and I'll sign the loan. And so you don't have to have the credit.
So where do you find that person that you can trust and that will back you and isn't going to skin you alive? I find that a lot of first-time investors, they go to their usual bank and the bank says, we don't do commercial loans. You don't have enough equity. You don't have any experience in this space. And so they find that the traditional path often is much more difficult to navigate. So they're looking for what we would lovingly call hard money out there. So how do you find those investors? Is it through Facebook groups? Is it through networking at BNI, or where do you find these people?
So in multifamily, the networking piece, I think, is more important than as a single family investor. Single family, a lot of times you can get your arms around it. You can get one investor that will back you for the down payments. You find one good hard money lender and you're set. Multifamily, you usually need multiple people just to get the deal closed. Then you need multiple people to invest in the deal. The lending is not harder, but it's bigger dollar figures. So you need more qualified partners. And so that was probably the hardest thing. I mean, taking a course and learning the information, you got to do that, but that's not the be all and end all. The biggest thing is getting your mind right, like that I can do this. And then two is building that network and plugging into a tribe. So that is, and there's plenty of tribes out there. I mean, I have a tribe, my Facebook group, My First Million in Multifamily. And there's plenty of other groups like that, but and there are also, I went to conferences to meet people. I joined masterminds to meet people. And this was how I got connected with a guy that was worth a lot. And he was willing to sign on the loans. And they took 20% of the equity of the deals to do that. And we raised the money. They would help me raise a little bit of money, but that's how we closed multi-million-dollar deals. And so, yeah, that was how we got the ball rolling. But you have to plug into a network. You got to learn the basics, get qualified so you can bring value, and then find those people that can help you. But if you're bringing value, they will want to partner with you. It's just where you raise your hand and say, I want, and I have no skills, I have no money, I have no deal. Like nobody wants to partner with you.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same thing as, honestly, mentoring and business ownership, everything else. It's got to be a two-way street. And we see this so often in these Facebook groups of investors. All they do is say what they need instead of what they offer. And I love that perspective. I also love how you keep saying, yes, you can, because that's half the battle in getting started on any of this. So before I let you go, because of course I keep my episodes pretty short because my attention span of my audience is pretty tight. They know this. I know they're going to want to know how you moved from multifamily to self-storage, why you made that move, and was it the same kind of mindset, do education, find an investor? How did you make that transition and why?
This is a great story. I'm going to, because the self-storage sort of fell in my lap.
Some realtors do more business than others, and it's not just their great looks and their charm and amazing hair. It's their follow-up, y'all. People, on average, forget the marketing message after 16 days. Follow-Up Boss will plug into the system you're using. And yes, they integrate with over 250 different programs to help you get organized with your past clients and with those neighbors that frankly should be your future clients. And if you go to followupboss.com/crazy, you get a 30-day free trial to go see how this works for your business. I can promise you, the people who forgot you didn't mean to, they want to hear from you. So go to followupboss.com/crazy and you'll suddenly figure out why all these top producers in the market are getting more business. It has to do with organization and detail work, and you can get there too. Followupboss.com/crazy for your 30-day free trial. Check it out. Let me know how it goes for you.
I was driving down the road in Monk's Corner, which is a town outside of Charleston. And yeah, cute little town, growing town. And I'm driving by this self-storage place, and it looks nice, but a little bit unkept. And I think, well, maybe that person would be interested in selling. So I called him. I just cold called the guy, and it's like, I get offers all the time, but you know what? I'll talk to you. And I always tell everybody no, but I'm going to tell you yes for some reason. I don't know why, but so I drive out there, I meet with the guy, and he tells me, well, I want, at least 1.2 million for this property. And this is about 180 units. There's 100 storage units and like 80 boat lots. So I do my little quick math, and I'm like, dude, I cannot pay 1.2. I could pay like 950.
Oh, that's a big spread.
Well, you always got to make the offer, but he wasn't super interested in that number. Surprise, surprise. And he said, well, listen, you can add like 25 more boat spaces and I'll put in the gravel for you. So there's a value add component. I'm well under market rent by 20%. I said, okay, well, let me come back to you. And so I made 2 offers, right? So I said, offer number 1 is just straight up conventional offer, 950 grand. I'm sticking with that number. This is where I go to the bank, I get a loan, I raise the money, or I use my own money for the down payment. I got to make a great return because I've got investors. Or option 2, I pay you I'll pay you 1.2 million that you want, but you get 900K at closing and you loan me 300K. So you get a good bit of your money. It's like an owner finance, but he's doing like a seller carry. So he's somewhat owner financing my down payment. And the way that there's a way to do this legally versus illegally, because sometimes you can't have a second mortgage on a primary loan. But anyways, there's a ways to do this, and I can give your listener base like a PDF write-up of how I did this deal if they'd like. But he was seeing that he could make way more money doing this. He got to know me a little bit better. He said, yeah, let's do the deal. So I went to a bank, I got a loan. They gave me 80%. So they gave me $960,000. Mm-hmm. He loaned me $300,000. And so I got a 1.26 million. So at closing, I got a check for $60,000, and I got the property 100%, no investors. I didn't have to split it with anybody. At that point, I was able to qualify for that loan. So if I'd had to bring my sponsor in, I would have had to give away a little bit of the deal, but even still, I would have gotten 80% of the deal. And so my plan was, I pay him interest only, and within 3 years, I can refinance the deal or I can sell the deal and pay him off. And so we took the rent roll from 9,600 to, I think we're over 15,000 a month right now.
Oh, wow. Nice improvement.
So yeah, there was definitely a value add there, and it's worth at least 1.8, 2 million. I don't think I'll have a problem refinancing him out. We'll see with the rates, but if I can't, then I can always sell it to get him out. But that's kind of a cool way to structure deals where you can pay more. You don't have to have investors, because as long as that deal safely cash flows and you can cover your expenses, you're amortizing debt, you're right, inflation's working for you, you're paying your seller off, and you don't have to pay him a crazy return because he's already getting a premium for the property. And it really is an effective way to start looking at this stuff differently versus, I can't get a $5 million loan, I can't raise $2 million, there's no way I can get into multifamily. Yeah, if you think you can't, you can't. But if you start trying to solve that problem, there are ways to do it.
Well, it's like your portfolio. You're not all or nothing. You figure out different pathways and different configurations, and it all makes sense. And that's a great way to look at it. He got what he wanted, and you got what you wanted. And sounds like the people who are renting units get what they wanted too, because they're happy.
Oh yeah. It's a great little property, and I brought my sister in as my partner, and she manages it. So it's pretty passive for me because I want to keep scaling. And so she got a nice slice of equity in that deal. It's great.
So you got her managing it for a slice of the equity?
She gets a management fee as well, but she also has, so when we first bought it, really I hired a management company who, was multifamily based, and they were like, we can do this. And they couldn't do it. They were bombing the property, and we were taking the rent roll from 9,600 to 7,000, 6,000. I'm like, guys, no, this isn't going to work. I'm having to pay money every month now to keep this thing afloat. And so we got rid of them. And I went to my sister. I said, hey, I'll give you, I think I gave her like 30% of this deal, and I'll pay you the management fee if you help me turn this property around. And within 3 months, she had the rent roll at like 10 grand. She was killing it. She's running Facebook ads. She cares, because she is a 1/3 owner.
Skin of the game pays all the time.
I always do that. None of my deals, I let go of that. I got to own 100%. Now I do flip my syndications where we give away 20 to 30% of the equity to the investors instead of usually giving away 70%. So I got even more aggressive. Now we keep 70 to 80% of our deals because we pay a high preferred return. We refinance quickly. We get the cash back in 18 months to 2 years. And so you can keep more equity. I don't like the idea of doing all these massive syndications and only getting 20% of the deal as the GP and then splitting that up between 7 people. It's like my average ownership is 24, 25% with the way that I've structured it. And that's with a full-time partner. He has another 24%. So between the two of us, we almost own half our portfolio.
Which is the way you should go because work smarter, not harder, right?
There's a million ways to do it, but that's the way I wanted to do it. Yeah.
All right. So if somebody wants to reach out to you to find out more about this, making your first million in multifamily and what you're offering out there, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah. If they go to Jennings Smith Jr., JenningsSmithJR.com, that has everything. You can join my Facebook group. And if you do, we'll send you secret seller scripts, which is like how to talk to off-market owners. We'll send you, how I raised the $90,000 for that first deal that we talked about. I'll break down how we closed the self-storage deal and get you started, get the ball rolling on how to get into multifamily from single family.
Perfect. Well, there you go, friends. I know a lot of y'all out there have been curious about the next steps, and this might be what your next step looks like, especially when the stock market is so wildly volatile. Take advantage of a bear market rally and think about real estate. So Jennings, thank you for coming on the show. And I hope all of my little followers will go follow you and learn some stuff they can share back into their world too.
Yeah, Leigh, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
All right, guys, make sure that you leave a nice comment below and subscribe for more. We'll see you next time. So if you found value in this episode, please like and subscribe to this channel, turn on the bell, and catch another amazing episode by clicking above. Crazy Shit in Real Estate is also available on all of your normal podcast apps. So if that's where you like to hang out, go find me, click subscribe, and most importantly, leave me a review that says you think I'm awesome, my guests are awesome, or this content is just exactly what you were looking for. And then, by the way, if there's something you need, you want to learn about something, you can comment below anytime. You can also send me a direct message if you need to remain anonymous. No judgment. But anyway, I'll only judge if you forget to subscribe and click. I'll see you next time.